Okay, so opening scene, we have Bruce Wayne, and he's like 12 years old, and his parents just died. Then he falls into a well, and a bunch of bats like fly around him. Catch Bruce Wayne when he's an adult in Metropolis. Zod is attacking the city. Bruce is on the phone with the CEO of Wayne Corp, and he's like, "Hey Jerry, you got to get out of that building, man." And Jerry's like, "Yeah, all right." And then like suddenly you see like General Zod and Superman just crash through the building. The building just collapses, and there's this one guy whose legs are all crushed. Bruce tries to help him, and he kind of just like looks up, shaking his fist at Superman. So then we cut to the title, Batman versus Superman. So then we cut to the desert where Lois Lane is interviewing a bunch of terrorists, and she's just asking them like a million questions, and they're not really answering any of them. Like she's like, "Are you guys terrorists? Who pays for these contractors?" So then those contractors kill all the terrorists and just start killing a bunch of people. Then Superman shows up, saves the day. So then we cut to a Senate hearing like the next day, and they think that Superman killed all the women and children in the area that the contractors killed. And I mean, this whole scene is just there to be a plot point for later on, just like every other scene. So then we got to Facebook headquarters where Jesse Eisenberg is playing Mark Zuckerberg for the 15th time. And some of the senators from that Senate hearing show up, and Mark Zuckerberg is like, "Hey senators, let me show you some kryptonite that I found. I guess I want some sort of license to bring the kryptonite into the country. I mean, even though I could just smuggle it in myself, maybe we can make a deal or something." So the senator agrees to everything that he wants, at which point Mark Zuckerberg's like, "Awesome, cool. Do you mind if I put this Jolly Rancher in your mouth?" And the senator's like, "No, I don't want a Jolly Rancher." It's literally just like Mark Zuckerberg wanting to put his finger in someone's mouth. So then we cut to the Daily Planet, and Clark Kent is there with a bunch of reporters, and he's like, "Hey, have you guys heard of this vigilante who's beating people up and kind of taking the law into his own hands? That's pretty messed up." And someone's like, "Oh yeah, you mean Superman, right?" And Clark's like, What? No, not Superman. No, this other guy. He's like really dangerous, and like I heard he killed someone once too." And some other person walks by, and they're like, "No, yeah, you're talking about Superman." And Clark's getting all aggravated. He's like, "No, I'm not talking about Superman. I'm talking about this other guy. He like has a cape. He wears dark clothes." And some other person's like, "Yeah, that's Superman. You got it." And Clark's getting all pissed, and he's like, "No, Superman's a good guy. I'm talking about Batman. He's a bad guy. He should be stopped." And someone's like, "Oh, Batman? No, he's fine. He's not a big deal." And Clark's like, "Yeah, well, I think I have to. Superman has to stop him because he's breaking the law." So then we got to Mark Zuckerberg, and he's at his house, and one of the senators that opposed him shows up, and she's like, "Hey, Mark, you're not getting that kryptonite that you wanted." And Mark Zuckerberg just throws a huge fit, threatens to pee in a jar and give it to her, and she's understandably weirded out at this point, and is like, "Why? Why do you need this so bad?" And Mark Zuckerberg is like, "Because I hate Superman. He's a big meanie, and I don't like him, and I hate Superman." So then we cut to a party at Facebook headquarters. Bruce Wayne is there, Clark Kent is there, and Wonder Woman's kind of hanging around in the back. And Bruce Wayne is really only there so that he can try and steal some data from the Facebook servers. Sneaks down to the server room to plug in his USB drive. And then he heads back upstairs because it's going to take like 30 minutes to download. So then when he gets upstairs, Clark Kent runs into Bruce, and he's like, "Oh, Batman's stupid." And Bruce Wayne's like, "Yeah, well, Superman's a hypocrite." And then Mark Zuckerberg shows up, and he's like, "Oh, hey, Batman, you're here. I'd like you to meet Superman." And they're both like, What? We're not, what? And he's like, "I hope you guys are enjoying the party." And Bruce Wayne kind of cuts him off. He's like, oh, sorry, I gotta go get that data that I'm stealing from you." And he like goes downstairs, but Wonder Woman actually snuck in there first and took the data from him. So then we get to that guy who lost his legs at the beginning of the movie, and Mark Zuckerberg is there, and he's like, "Hey, guy who lost your legs, would you like a new wheelchair? Don't tell anyone, but there's a bomb in it. You can use it for that Senate hearing that's gonna happen in a few scenes." And the guy's like, "Oh, cool, that sounds fun." So then we get to some museum, and Wonder Woman is there, and Bruce Wayne shows up, and she's like, "Oh, you can have that drive back. It's encrypted. I didn't really do anything with it." So then they cut to this awkward scene that honestly, all you need to know about the scene is it's like a future dream sequence that Bruce Wayne has that has nothing to do with anything. So then Bruce wakes up, and like it's unclear if this is a dream still or not. The Flash like shows up in like a weird like portal thing, and he's like, "You were right about him." But like even that thing has nothing to do with the rest of the movie. Like it's just ridiculous. So then Alfred comes up to Bruce Wayne, and he's like, "Oh, hey, I just heard some radio chatter. Facebook is bringing the kryptonite over in a boat by the docks." So Batman's like, "Yeah, good, let's go get it. Because even if there's a 1% chance that Superman's gonna do something bad, we have to take that as a certainty that he's definitely gonna do something bad." And Alfred's like, "I mean, I get where you're coming from with this, but I don't really think what you said makes any sense." You know, Batman wasn't listening. He puts his suit on, drives down the docks, has a chase scene with Facebook employees with the kryptonite, and he puts a track around them. Then Superman shows up, destroys his car, and he's like, "Hey, Batman, you have to stop fighting crime." And Batman's like, "No." Superman's like, "Yeah, well, you should, because you're not a policeman." And Batman's like, "You're not either. You're a piece of shit and a hypocrite." And Superman's like, "Whatever, just stop fighting crime." So then Superman starts crying, and he flies away. Batman takes his phone out, checks out that tracker that he put on the kryptonite, and he sees that the kryptonite landed at Facebook headquarters. So he calls Alfred. He's like, "I know where the kryptonite is. Let's steal it in a few scenes." So then we cut to Washington, D.C., where there's a Senate Senate hearing about Superman again. Superman shows up. He doesn't really say anything. He just kind of shows up. That wheelchair guy with the bomb is there. That senator that Mark Zuckerberg threatened earlier is there too. And she's about to start everything, and then she notices that there's a jar of pee on her desk, and she's like, oh no, wait. And then the wheelchair guy blows up, and everyone dies except Superman, and he just kind of flies away and doesn't really do anything for a while. So then we get to Mark Zuckerberg, who finally got access to General Zod's dead body and has access to the Kryptonian ship, and he like gets in the ship and magically knows exactly where to go and what to access, and he puts General Zod's body in a pool, and the ship's like, initiating doomsday for the movie's finale. So then we got to Batman, and he's making a bunch of different gadgets out of the kryptonite, getting ready for the fight at the end of the movie. Then at the same time, he decrypts all that data, and he finds out that Wonder Woman is like hundreds of years old, so he emails her that data so that she can check it out too. So then Batman goes to some abandoned building, and he starts setting up a bunch of Home Alone traps for Superman. So then we get to Mark Zuckerberg, and he's on top of Facebook headquarters, and he's actually kidnapped Lois, and he like pushes Lois off the top of the building. Superman saves her, gets her to safety. Then Superman flies up to have a bit of a chat with Mark Zuckerberg, and this is supposed to be like the reveal of Mark Zuckerberg's big plan, and he just starts rambling. You know, he's like, Superman, I know who you are. You're Clark Kent. I know. I want you to go fight Batman. He's in Gotham right now. I heard he set some Home Alone traps for you. They're probably going to be pretty fun. You should probably go do that. Oh, I stole your mom. I kidnapped your girlfriend, but you already got her back, so you're fine there. You should go kill Batman and give me his head, and I'll let your mom live. I gotta go wake up Doomsday for the finale. So, you know, you should do all those things and get back to me when you're done. And Superman's like, whoa, man, you gotta pick which thing you want me to do. I mean, you're kind of asking a lot of me. So then we cut to that warehouse that Batman was at, and Superman shows up. It's pretty much just nonstop Home Alone shenanigans. Like, Batman runs down some stairs, he throws some kryptonite paint cans at Superman. Superman tries opening the door, and like Batman's put some kryptonite on the door, and Superman like slips on some kryptonite ice, and it's just nonstop shenanigans. And Batman finally weakens Superman enough, and he's about to stab him and with this kryptonite spear. And Superman's like, I have to go save Martha. Up to this point, Batman has completely hated Superman in every possible way. But like the instant he says that, he's like, whoa, did you say Martha? My mom's name's Martha. And Superman's like, what? Get out of town. My mom's name is Martha. And Batman's like, oh my God, we have so much in common. And they like immediately bond over the fact that their mom's names are Martha, even though Batman's mom is dead. So they're like best friends now. So Batman's like, okay, I'm gonna go save your mom if you go and start to fight Doomsday. So we cut to Batman who's at the warehouse where Superman's mom is. And it's funny because every other version of Batman's all about not killing, but new Batman takes out a massive machine gun, shoots rockets, rips a guy's arm off, he snaps a guy's neck, and he saves Martha. So then we cut to the Kryptonian ship where Superman popped in to see Mark Zuckerberg, and Mark Zuckerberg's like, Superman, I made the ultimate villain. I made Doomsday. He's really big. He's made from Zod and me. You should fight him, and you should have fun while you're doing it. So then Superman and Doomsday blow up a few buildings. So Doomsday keeps getting hit with bombs, and every time he gets hit, he gets stronger and stronger. And the army is like, we gotta launch a nuke at this guy. So they throw a nuke at Superman and Doomsday, and Superman seems to die, and they think Doomsday is dead too, but he just gets even stronger. And then it's pretty much up to Batman for a few minutes to try and fight Doomsday. But Batman's just a guy, so it just turns into this like cat and mouse chase, because there's no possible way Batman could even punch Doomsday. And finally Superman shows back up, and Wonder Woman shows up too, and like Superman never stops and even asks like, hey, who's this lady? He's just like, oh, is she with you? And Batman should have said like, yeah, she's with me. I met her earlier. Her name's Wonder Woman. But he's like, oh, I thought she was with you. And Wonder Woman's like, why would I be with Superman? I've never met this guy. So Wonder Woman and Superman start fighting Doomsday, and Batman kind of hides behind a rock, and he's like, you guys got this. Keep going. Lois pops up out of nowhere, and she has the kryptonite spear, and she throws the spear to Superman, and he's like, oh yeah, I think I can stab Doomsday with it. That'll probably kill him. And Batman like pops up behind his rock, and he's like, Superman, do you really think you should be using that? I mean, it's gonna weaken you as well as Doomsday. You should probably just give that to Wonder Woman. And Superman's like, no, I gotta do this. I gotta sacrifice myself. So he stabs Doomsday, then Doomsday stabs him back. They both die, but everyone knows Superman's gonna come back. So then we get to Superman's funeral, and it's all sad or whatever, and Bruce Wayne is there with Wonder Woman, and Bruce Wayne is like, hey, do you wanna start the Justice League with me? And she's like, yeah, sure, that sounds great. Roll credits.